Hello, everyone. Joseph Ramirez back here with another deck profile for you. Again, this is going to be from League Play. This is actually the deck that I used to win. If you saw the game that I uploaded a while back, so I'm just going to kind of show you the profile and obviously take it with a grain of salt as far as how the plays and the actions look, just based off of the way the CRD will change things. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. So first things first, let's take a look at the Lion Synergy. When I took a look at the Lion Synergy, active if they're all lions, once per possession, you may increase grit value by +2, and once per possession, you may decrease grit value by up to 2. So you get 2 once per possessions to increase grit by 2 and decrease grit by 2. It's very, very important. So I will show you really the idea behind it. So I saw the Lions synergy and I thought, you know what, there's definitely something here, especially when I talked back way back when I spoke with Brian, who used to was head of making the game cards and things like that. I know we had a conversation one time, and I said, if we get anything that modifies grit, it's going to be very, very scary. But being that grit, I'll tell you guys real quick, if you don't know what grit does, is whenever you determine grit, it's usually both you and your opponent flip the top cards of your deck. You check what the strength is, add it together, and that becomes your grit. And so whenever you do grit, it's you grit check on punts, on field goals, and then there are certain cards and effects that have you determine grit. A lot of times it's a lot of turnovers, so things like forced fumble, interceptions, things like that that say turn the ball over. They will say determine grit. If you get grit correct, then you get something. Or if you get grit into a specific space or column, so like intercept, interception is like on a 5 or 6, grit 5 or 6, and you'll see in a second when I show you the actions and play deck how that really works. But being able to modify +2 or -2 gives you such a wide range. It doesn't look like a lot, but once you do the calculations, the math. So if you look at it, all strength cards or all play cards have a strength of 0 through 9. So that's a 10 number sequence, right? So 1 through 10, if you have a 1 through 10 chance, a 1 to 10 chance is 10%. So if it says choose, like we'll take a look at Aiden here. Aiden Hutchinson says choose a grit value. Determine grit. If chosen correctly, take possession of the ball. So if you say choose one number in a 1 to 10, you have a 10% chance. However, with the Lion Synergy, it then gives you 20% up and 20% down, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think it's like, I have a 30% chance. You have a 30% chance to increase your odds. Now you're talking about if I select 5, it's only 10%. However, if I choose 5 with the Lion Synergy active, my 5 can now be a 6, 7, 4, or 3. So now I have a 50% chance. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I have a 50% chance to now hit my grit with just picking one number. So if there's something that says on a grit 4 and 5, now I'm getting a 60% chance. So it's definitely very, very strong, especially in this format where there's not a lot of things that stop interceptions or stop things that are going to, the turnovers thing, and not a lot to stop grits, right? So when I saw this, I said, "Oh, this is amazing. This is probably like," and I still still will say like in the format, even if the rules change, like if you do play um this format, this is still one of the best decks to look out for. It's super super strong, being able to determine grit, um, and in in a world where you would play rainbow format is what they call it. I guess we call it, where you can just play anything and everything, and you can select teams and stuff like that. This could still be a very very viable option in those particular matchups just because of how strong it is. But in those cases, there's a lot of things that say like, I can't turn the ball over. Tom Brady, 2022, the Broncos synergy. There's just things out there that just stop it from happening. So it definitely would make it a little bit weaker. Anyways, let's get on to the deck. Offensively, Jameson Williams, exhaust your QB, exhaust him, energize your QB, draw 2 cards. This is amazing card draw, especially in this format where you're not drawing a whole lot. And if you can see, I'm dead on the nose, 20 plays, and 23 actions. 23 actions because I can draw 2 every time I'm on offense with this guy. So absolutely amazing. And if I have a way to ready him, like Team Synergy or something like that, I could do it again. Usually I stayed 5 in grip. It was just, I had a ton of stuff, ton of cards in hand, and this guy just gives you net so much advantage. Pair it with Jared Goff. He says exhaust, draw 2 play cards from your deck, and then place a play from your hand on top of the deck. So with this guy, you can draw 2 plays and then take any card you want from your hand and put on your deck. So you can stack the deck for the next time you were to determine grit, you know what yours is. So you can kind of get an idea of the range that you'll need to call grit, right? So that's pretty good. So in conjunction, I don't know if you saw, but you can do turn 1, do this, draw 2, put a play on top, do this, ready him, draw 2 actions. And so at that point, I'm at 5 actions and I'm at 4 plays. And then when I draw a play, I'll be at 5. So I get full grip turn 1 with these 2 guys. Absolutely amazing. And then my running back, obviously, Legend Barry Sanders says run double yards on the play gained, and it becomes first down. You can only use this ability once per half. So you get it once on offense, or once on first half, once on the second half. So to back him up, I put DeAndre Swift of 2021, who basically is just a regular vanilla run. Gain 15 yards if all your players on the field have a different position. Otherwise, gain 5 instead. So when you swap Barry out with him, you've got a wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, and then of course your running back. So you will have the 15-yard additional. So very good here. Usually, you do Barry. You can do Barry quick and early, or you can wait. If you do it on your first drive, you can pretty much keep the ball the entire first half if you play it right. So it kind of helps just get in there, score. Barry, go get first down, do it again, and then just hold it. So very very good. TJ Hawkinson, very, very, very good. Very, very strong. Obviously, just all successful runs, you determine grit. If grit's 1 to 0, the play gains an additional 15 yards. Well, obviously, we're looking at a 20% chance. You got 0 and 1, and then you get to Lion Synergy, the additional 2 up or 2 down. So I hit this a majority of the time playing, and this is the only thing we really do offensively to grit and give you that extra 15. So you're talking an extra 30 yards here, and then whatever your play would be. So definitely very, very good. And this is just a static build. It just happens. When a successful run happens, you just do it. So this was very, very amazing. And we'll talk about like some of the synergy strats and things like that. I know some of you guys can see that challenge of defense is an offensive only play. Determine grit becomes a strength. This is also really strong in what we're doing here, but we'll talk about it a little bit in a little bit. Moving on to the defense, I had a very solid defense, I felt, in this. Of course, the 2 mainstays, if you watch that particular video that had the finals, Kusick was playing the Patriots, and it was a full run mentality. So he was playing very much against like that there was an all pass defense, which a lot of us really looked at. That was the case, right? It was, I mean, if you're gonna give us an all pass defense that's not unique, you're gonna run at least 4 or more of those particular plays just to stop them on defense as a defensive strat. So you really wanted to do that. And in his case, he ran, the Patriots with the whole run mentality. That's how their synergy is built on. And so when you look at it, the only 2 guys that had any play on my defense was Hutchinson and Jeff Okudah. You look at Darius Slay, who is doing amazing right now in the Eagles. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The trade for that was absolutely great on the Eagles team. But anyways, on NFL 5 2019, Darius Slay says on a tackle 3 through 7, the play gains 15 fewer yards and you cancel the receive abilities of the receiver. Amazing ability on a 3 through 7. However, if we're not playing against anybody who passes, this really does nothing. Quandre Diggs, another 2019, exhaust on a medium or long pass, decrease the range of the pass play by a -2. So you got to -2 the range, which is the X by X number. So if it says 5 through 7, I make it a 5, right? You just decrease it by 2. So boom. So excellent card if for medium or long passes. Not a lot of long passes, but definitely medium passes. And he just really did not do a whole lot of anything when you don't play against the person that does any passes. And then Trey Flowers was a definite like a real sideboard type card for sure. You can exhaust and remove a gridiron on the field. So you basically exhaust at the end of play. Basically just gets rid of any gridiron that they have on the table that could potentially be an issue. But he never came up, never really used him. All on to the superstars of the deck. On defense, Aiden Hutchinson, obviously we talked about him a bit ago. Tackle grit, choose a grit value, determine grit, and if you chose correctly, take possession of the ball. So with Hutchinson, like you said, you can really look at like if you stack the deck or know kind of like what you're running, and it was very not really predictable, but with all passes being a very prominent card you're going to run 4 or more of, right? That's a good quarter of the deck, of the play deck. If you're talking, you run, 20 plays and 4 to 6 of them are your all passes. That's a 5 grit check. You can really look at that and say, okay, well, I know on my play deck I run these specific strengths in play. So if I grit check, he's going to grit check a 5, and then I would grit check, an 8. So I know it's going to be about a 3. So if I pick 3, I know I can +2 or -2 from the 3 and really make it. So then you can really look at the addition on there, just pure numbers, and be like, okay, I'm going to choose grit. And then a lot of times you could just like, I'm going to choose grit 5, right? Because, like I said earlier, you get 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 3 through 7, right? And so you get a big value, and basically you just turn over the ball. You just take over the ball. If you choose correctly, you get it, and you get to plus it or minus it to make it actually hit the number you chose. So if you look at it, I think I talked about doing the percentage on Aiden. He was much more than 50%. I think at one point, I think he was like 60 75% or more. Like I think maybe out of the whole time that I used him, and sometimes I don't think I really wanted to use him, but did it anyway. And it literally like was, hit most of the time. So very, very strong, very, very powerful. Jeff Okudah, I saw this card and absolutely thought like this is absolutely like one of the best defensive players in the league, in this particular league. But tackle, determine grit. The play gains yards equal to 5 times the grit number instead of yards gained or lost on the play. So the key word here is instead. We talked about it if you watch my last video with challenge or with the speed kills and things like that, where it triples and doubles the yardage. Those things happen, but instead happens after you've added everything up. So, what a lot of times if you do speed kills, it does minus 10 yards and then you double the yards on the play. Well, if you do something like that, they play something like that. When you tackle with Jeff Okudah, you just determine grit and you just check grit off the top, and then you get to +2 or -2 the grit. So it helps you to either lower or raise to lower their total yards, because again, 5 times the number, they can only go 45 yards. So the max they can get is 45 yards, but if you +2 or -2, you can always get them into the ones, the zeros, the ones, twos, where they're only gaining, 0, 5, or 10 yards, 15 yards, something like that. So very, very strong when you can actually cup this with this. Is he still strong outside of that where you don't get to choose? Yeah, absolutely. Because again, you get to, like, the most they can do is 45 yards. So if you know that they're going very long, they do some, sharp and focus, or they do speed kills, and they're gonna gain yardage to gain a touchdown. This guy can save you a touchdown just by, playing his ability. And so very, very strong. Saw it in the gameplay, saw it many times. Just kind of really, takes over the game atmosphere. So very, very good and very, very strong. So you can see how the deck build really goes based off of this energy. And so very, very strong there. Let's go into the plays real quick. So I'm gonna, what I did, I reset it, but I don't know what reset even means, but when you look at it, I went all runs. Obviously, we're a run heavy defense. It helps us get rid of the all pass defense, right? It helps us get around, um, you know, uh, not only not having to worry about dealing with the all pass defense, but it also helps us with Barry Sanders and DeAndre Swift. Of course, they're our mainstay running. And then, of course, there's Hockenson, successful runs, gain additional 15. So why wouldn't we just run, right? And so very, very strong. I did an array of runs. And as you can tell, in this particular build, I didn't run any all passes on defense. I really didn't need to. Based on what my defense did. Like, I was just thinking about turning the ball over. I don't care if I'm going to stop your pass. I'm just going to stop it, or we're going to Okudah and make you go nowhere. But I definitely wanted to keep the numbers over 5. So if you look, it was 7, 7, 7, 6, 9, 9, 8, 6, 7, 7, 8, 6, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9, 7, 9, 7, and 8. So 6 through 9. So when you calculate your grit, or you're trying to, for Hutchinson, you're looking at, well, I'm going to have a 6 through 9 on my end, and then you can calculate, like, okay, well, if they're running all passes, and they still have a lot of the all passes left, it's a majority. Could be that they hit all pass, so it's a 5, and so 5 and 6 is 1. 7 and 5 is 2. 8 is 3. So, like, it gives us the opportunity to be able to build around that 50%, right? So we know we can go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, like, if I pick 3, I'm going to go there. And if it doesn't hit the 5, like, I still have a chance to be able to hit, one of those numbers, especially with the numbers that we ran. But I did run, a balanced type of run middle, run left, run right, as you can see, and just a lot of different numbers. But as you can see, there was a time in the game when I played where I ran into, he had a very, very good defender for middle run, which he could basically make a middle run, run 5 yards instead, or something like that. and I got stuck with a lot of middle run, and it was just like, oh God, just, get him out of my hand, get him out of my hand. Um, but that was really, the idea behind what we did here. And I could modify this, but as far as like new rules go, like if you look at the new rules for this, it has a unique play. So if the CRD comes out that you can only have one unique play, whether that be a unique card in general in your whole deck, which is an idea they may run, then we could easily take out the unique play. It's not necessary, but depending on what they decide to do. So moving over to the action deck. If we take a look at the action deck, your kind of array, we talked about it last video, right? If you look at it, I ran 2 Not the Sundays, 2 sideline support. I ran 2 team synergies, at 1 miraculous play. Then I ran 1 sharpen focus, no, 2 sharpen focus, 2 speed kills, right? And so that's the kind of staples that we talked about during league play. That's kind of what it was. And then after I got done with my staples, I said, well, I want to take advantage of the Lion synergy card, right? So what determines grit? And so when we look at it, I ran 2 challenge the defense, 2 challenge the offense. And so challenge the defense, you determine grit, and the play and the current strength becomes that play strength. So like if they were running a run, we determine grit, and then I get to modify that grit by +2 or -2 to make it 0, 1, 2, or 3, and they only gain 0, 1, 2, or 1, 10, or 5, 0, 5, 10, or 15 yards. And so challenge the defense, very, very strong, in cupped with the Lions synergy card. So definitely very, very good. Not much that you can do with messing around with this except for, doing a false start or not the Sundaying this card. Same thing with the offense. Obviously, like if there was a grit that I didn't like and didn't get me anywhere, I could challenge the defense, and then I could modify the grit, right? So then I can give it a +2, -2 to make it more than I needed to. So excellent, excellent card there for this particular deck. And then when it came to, obviously, I forgot the outperforms. We got to run outperform, right? It's a staple, another staple card. But then I also ran 2 strip sacks and 2 regular sacks. And it's the same thing. You look at strip sack. Strip sack says you determine grit value. The offense loses 10 yards instead of yards gained or lost on the play if you get a 0 to 1. Recover a fumble if the grit is 0, right? This may result in lost yards on the play, X equals 0. So it's just a reminder text, but if you look at that, like we talk about like instead, right? This says instead. And of course we get to determine grit. So on a 0 through 1, like if I flip a 6 and they flip a 5, well, it's a 1, right? They automatically lose 10 yards. Now, if I wanted to take over the ball and I still have Lion synergy up, I can -2 or -1 on the grit to make it a 0. And then guess what? Now I take over the ball. So it ends up becoming a turnover also. And so strip sack, very, very strong. You actually saw it in the game. I actually used this and actually got the ball off a strip sack. So very, very strong in this deck. Another one was sack. Now, like strip sack and sack, I've always liked them since 2019. I don't think they're very strong on their own, but cupped with the Lion synergy, absolutely amazing, because you get to bump your grit that extra 40%. And if you look at like sack, so determine grit value, the offense loses 10 yards instead of yards gained or lost on the play if grit is 4 or 5. Now, we talked about sharpen focus, speed kills. You're gaining these big yards, big time plays. But if they play a sharpen focus and then I play sack, it's 4 through 5. We talked about 4 through 5 is already 20%. Now I add my 40%. I have a 60% chance to stop sharpen focus and then get the ball back, right? So they only go 10 yards, period, because it says instead. So it replaces that. And so, bam, it's very, very strong in this particular deck, in this particular format. Definitely very good. Otherwise, it's a meh card, and it does things, it does its stuff, right? The other thing I ran in here was solo strategy. Um, I looking at it like it was what 20, 24 total, 23 total cards. I probably could have cut two of these and made it 21. I probably could have ran one of the solo strategy. The reason why I put it in, I really wanted to try it, was because I am running all runs, and so if you only have only run plays in your discard pile, you may change the current play to a play from your hand. So what this technically does, this actually is this particular card synergizes with golf, because golf lets you draw two plays from your deck, and then basically you get an extra play for the turn. That extra play gets to be played by solo strategy, because you're at 5, you play a card down, you're at 4, you get to play another one, you're at 3. Technically, you usually keep 3 plays in your hand, and then you draw one to pick and then lay a play out. But these two let them, the synergy here was really good, and I wish I could have like saw it to use it a little bit more. Cup with this, it's just real strong draw, and you get to pick whatever play from your hand. So you get to see what play they picked, and you get to see what play strength they have, and then you can just lay over the top to get like you can change a run from 15 yards to 45 yards by picking the right play, and then just laying it over the top and saying, okay, cool, we got it. You'll see if you watch the video of the gameplay, I actually had this, and there wasn't a lot of very good options at the time that I played it, because every time you played a defensive play, it was like all passes, which is like, okay, well, I played mine, you played yours, I'm gaining 5, but if I lay this down, like I'm only gaining like 10 more yards. And so like I try to do that. Or there was a time where I think I did it and I actually gained the 45, but then he had like something to play on top that would actually change the play strength. And I'm just kind of like, oh well, that's the way the game's played, right? So but yeah, definitely very good. Again, if we look at saying that this card becomes unique, and this card's unique, so we can't only play one or the other. I mean, you can easily take out a miraculous play, or and then one not this Sunday. It leaves, I mean, you look at it, and let's say that if this is, oh, deal me a card, come on now. If this is the 23 card deck, and we need to take out one of these and take out one of these, because we can no longer run uniques, or this becomes unique and we can't run both, then we're already at 21. We can, like I said before, we can swap out this for something else, and it easily becomes still something that you can play. And then again, it definitely changes. Like, I mean, per your play style, if you wanted to get rid of a Not This Sunday and keep miraculous play, then you're looking at right there. I'm still at 21 cards. We can still cut one. Not a very big deal. So does it change the way the deck works? No. Does it change the way that the game is played? No. It's going to be interesting to see if they tag this unique. If they tag this unique and say that it only can be used once per half, or once per game, that's something to look out for. This card will be almost damn near unplayable. If it says like a unique rule where you can only have one unique card in the deck, then you have to pick between unique plays and unique actions, and then this gets stamped unique. Then it's going to be interesting. Basically, the only choice you have is which one do I want, right? If this card becomes unique and can't really run these two, like you basically run, Not This Sunday, because it's the best unique card that you could literally, stop anything with, and really change the total aspect of the game. But if this becomes unique and says, you can only use once per half, then I'm probably staying away from, Not This Sunday. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe it makes it more balanced that way. I can use it once during the first half and once during the second half, and maybe that helps me win the game. I mean, it's a very, very strong card. you look at Miraculous Play, and this card is absolutely amazing on defense to turn over the ball, take possession of 15, like just straight up. And then to ignore your opponent's play card. I mean, I've seen it do well. I mean, it basically makes you play unstoppable, quote unquote. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But obviously, like you could still make this deck work without this stuff. I mean, it's not like this is the centerpiece, because it really isn't. Some of the other decks kind of would lose steam with not having these particular things in the deck. But I mean, it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. This deck was really fun. Definitely encourage you kind of take a look at it, put it together, maybe give it a play. If you play on tabletop or if you want to get the cards for it, by all means, definitely do that and have some fun. Messing around with the grit. Until next time, guys, you guys have a great one.